Guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sonali if you guys didn't already know me, and today I'm going to be giving you an iPhone 7 Plus review. I couldn't wait to unbox it, so you know, it's already been in use for like almost a week now. So I've gotten a good feel for like the new update and just some cool things about the iPhone 7 Plus. I wanted to share it with you guys, so if you guys want to hear more about it, then keep on watching. So this is the packaging of the iPhone, and what I found really weird was that it just said iPhone and not like iPhone 7 Plus or anything like that. It just said iPhone. And then it has the picture of the phone, of course. I got rose gold. I had the 6S Plus and the rose gold too, so I didn't really want to stray away from that color just because I really liked it. And a good way of telling the 6S Plus and the 7 Plus apart is this dual camera back here. Unfortunately, the iPhone 7 doesn't have it. I don't know why, but that's exactly why I got the 7 Plus, because I really wanted that dual camera. It looked so amazing, and I'm so into like photography, so of course I had to get that. But yeah, that's the box, and of course they have like the little gentle slide. So first you see this little thing. It's just like kind of like covering everything, and then Apple is savage sometimes, guys. Like, look at this. By looking at this packaging, you would think that you got the AirPods included with the iPhone. Psych, there's like a cord in there. What the heck? How can they do that to me? That is so just like cruel. So you get the savage normal headphones. I mean, I don't think they look that much different. And then of course you get a charger and the cube that it goes into. The cube. So the newest thing that comes with iPhones now is the adapter. The aux cord adapter. Honestly, the most important thing in that package, other than the iPhone itself. But I know everyone and their mother hates that the iPhone doesn't have a headphone jack. But honestly, guys, I'm pretty sure if you have a headphone jack, like that's the thing that makes it not waterproof. So to make it water resistant, you kind of had to take away the headphone jack. And honestly, I'm not complaining, because I'd rather have this little thing than get a little splash of water in my headphone jack and then my whole phone is just messed up and then I have to pay a lot. So I personally don't mind it. Products are always changing and we always have to adapt to them. It's not going to be that big of a deal. Like, you can even just put this right on your headphones if you wanted to, and that's probably what I'm going to do. I'm going to get another one and put one in my car and just like stick one on the end of my headphones. But I do think it's weird that you can't charge your phone and listen to music, although I don't do that very often because I actually don't listen to music unless I'm like going to the gym or something. But I see the problem there. But again, which one would you rather have? Like a water resistant phone or a headphone jack? I'd say water resistant phone, but that's just me personally. So this is the iPhone 7 Plus, and obviously it's not that much different from the 6S Plus. And I actually noticed the girl in Sprint put a 6S Plus screen protector over my phone. But if you're wondering, can I use a 6S Plus case for the 7 Plus? The answer is no, unfortunately. The camera will be blocked a little bit. This is a 7 Plus case, so it's not blocked right now. But I did measure it with my other case and the flash would be blocked. So, I mean, if you don't care about a flash, I don't know. I didn't really put it on, so I'm not sure if like everything is gonna fit. But pretty much if you're gonna try, just buy a 7 Plus case. It's because it's gonna like block your flash and make your photos like really weird. Like I said, the biggest physical difference is the dual camera, at least for the 7 Plus, because on the 7 it doesn't have a dual camera, which I don't really know why. And personally, I don't know why people like don't buy this one. Like, it's so much better. So I'm just gonna talk about the dual camera while I'm on the topic. The dual camera helps wide angle photos and zoomed photos like turn out better. And also, I watched the keynote, and this is actually the only reason I wanted the 7 Plus. Okay, so apparently it's gonna be an update later this year, which I don't know why it didn't come with the phone. Like, that's so weird, it's an update. When you see a really nice picture taken on a DSLR, you can see that the background's blurry. You can see that the lights are a little bit blurred and just like that really nice bokeh look. And that is what this is gonna do when that update comes out, which makes me so mad. I really wanted to like just play with it already. So it's gonna detect the subject and then detect the background as well, and then blur the background, which is gonna be so cool because that is like one of the reasons I use my camera, for the blurred background. I'm just so obsessed with it. So I'm so excited for that update, and if like the beta comes out, or I think that's what it's called, you can like download it for free and like test it out and be the testers. I really want to do that for that update because I want it now. So for the specs of the camera compared to the 6 Plus, the back camera has 12 megapixels compared to the 6 Plus, which was 8 megapixels. So that's a pretty big jump. And the front camera is 7 megapixels compared to the 6 Plus, which was 1.2 megapixels. That sounds really low. I don't know. I did have the 6S Plus, but I didn't have the 6 Plus. I'm not sure if they're like super different. As you can tell, I'm just really pumped about this camera, and the update just needs to get here already. Another big difference is the home button. It literally doesn't push in. It's basically like when you put your finger on it and you tap, it's a vibrate and not like a push in. Because when your phone is actually turned off and you try to touch it, it's like it won't push in, it won't vibrate or anything. So that's really weird and something to definitely get used to. I'd rather push it in because it feels stuck to me. That doesn't feel like a good feeling. So now I'm just gonna go through some really cool features I found on the new update. The first one being that you can create bulleted lists in Notes, which is really cool because I've always wanted to do that. Like I always make my own bullets and it's just like really time consuming. The thing that I found out is that it only works in the iCloud section of your notes. And then if you press done and click the check mark, then it just starts a bulleted note. So for instance, I am flying back to Georgia today, need to make a packing list, and we're gonna just write some things that I have to bring with me that I have not packed already. And then you can actually check them off, which is like so cool. I don't know. I'm just really amazed by that because I've always needed it. Next thing that I found is that you can unsubscribe from email lists just in one button. Like literally it says unsubscribe at the top of every like email list. So for this one, it's just 17. All I have to do is hit unsubscribe and it just unsubscribes me and I never get emails from them again. It is so useful. Usually I have to scroll all the way to the bottom of an email and then click unsubscribe, go to their website, click another unsubscribe. It's just so many buttons, you know, but this makes it so much easier. So the update with the messages is probably one of the biggest updates that I have experienced. It's really messing with my head for some reason, but it's also really cool at the same time. So if you want to text something, you want to say hi, and hold down the blue arrow, and then you can send it with invisible ink. You can send it gently, you can send it loud, you can send it with a slam. You can also click screen, and this is what I really like. You can send it with balloons, so if you were saying happy birthday, then you can send balloons with it. Or you can send it with confetti and lasers. This is probably my favorite because it's just so cool. Next, you can finally delete those apps that you never ever have touched in your whole entire life and will never ever touch. So for me, that would be like news, and if I wanted to read the news, I'd probably go to like a specific news app, so I don't really want to use that. Sometimes it's just like taking up space on your phone. Now you don't have to have that problem. Overall, I don't think it's incredibly different from the 6S Plus that I had, but I think once the camera update comes out, then it'll be a lot different just because of that camera. So if you're still thinking about getting this phone and you're upgrading from a 6S or 6S Plus, I would just wait till the next phone just because it isn't that much different. But if you are upgrading from anything else, then I do recommend it. If you guys have any more questions about it, then comment down below and I'll be sure to answer. Also, if you guys want a what's on my iPhone video, then make sure to give this video a thumbs up. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys!
Aaron here for Zollotech, and I wanted to show you how to back up from your old phone and restore to your new one. In this case, we have the iPhone 6S Plus and we have the iPhone 7 Plus here. So we're going to take everything off of this one and move it over to this one. Now this video is going to have three simple parts. The first part's going to be backing up, the second part's going to be restoring, and the third part is going to be some questions that you may have that I'll answer at the end of the video. So the first thing we need to do is go into settings, so let's do that. We'll move the iPhone 7 Plus aside. Now the first thing we're going to do is go into settings, and we're going to back up using iCloud. If you haven't done that already, I'll show you how to do that here. Now if you're using iTunes, that's simple. You just plug it in and hit backup. So let's scroll down until we get to iCloud. you'll go onto iCloud, and this will give you your information as to who's sharing it and how much storage you have available. But what we want is at the bottom, so scroll down, and you'll see it says backup. So let's first go to backup, make sure it's turned on. If it's not turned on, turn it on, and then hit backup now. You'll see it says I was last backed up at 12:30 a.m. yesterday, and if you don't back up now, you won't get everything in the new restore. So we need to do that. We'll hit backup now, and this can take a little bit of time, especially if it's your first backup. It could take quite a while, and it won't do it until you're on Wi-Fi, so make sure you're on Wi-Fi while you're doing this. The backup completed and took me about 10 minutes. It could vary. Sometimes, like I said, if it's your first backup, could take actually a couple hours. So make sure that's backed up. Now we can go to the new phone and start that one up and move to it. Now, one thing I wanted to tell you is when you restore to a new phone, it doesn't wipe anything here. They're just mirrored. So if you text someone here, it will actually be mirrored on the new one as well. So this is the first time I've ever started up the iPhone 7 Plus. So let's go ahead and turn that on, and we'll move this one out of the way. Now that we've booted the phone up, what we need to do is set it up. So we'll click the home button, select our language. In this case, I'll select the United States. And then we'll wait for my Wi-Fi network to appear. I'll select that, put in my password. Once your password's been entered, it will jump to this screen, and then it will take a moment to activate the iPhone. Once it's been activated, we can set up location services. I'll enable this. You can disable it if you'd like. And then we'll set up Touch ID. So I'll place my finger on here. Now your Touch ID information isn't retained from the previous phone because it's actually stored in a separate chip on the phone to keep it safe. So that actually makes a difference here. So it's a good security measure that they put in place. Now we have to create a passcode, so I'll do that. Once the passcode's entered, this is the part we really care about. We're going to restore from an iCloud backup. Now if you used iTunes, you can restore from an iTunes backup or an Android phone if you have one of those, or set it up as a new phone. I'll restore from an iCloud backup. Now we're going to put in our Apple ID and password, the same one that we had on the backup for the iCloud settings before. Once you've put in your iCloud password, it'll bring you to terms and conditions, so you'll have to agree to that in order to continue, and then we'll wait a few moments or a few minutes for it to set that up. Now here's the part we actually saved before when we backed up the phone. Now you'll see I have a bunch of different ones. That's because I have a bunch of different Apple devices that are saved and backed up. And so what you want to do is if you have an iPad or something else, just restore from the one that you just used. So in this case, it's a 6S Plus, and it's from 7/24 today. We'll hit this one and wait for it to restore. Now this is going to take some time. It actually restores. This takes a while, and then it's kind of a two-part process. So it's going to restore, then it will reboot and let you into the phone and use it while it restores all of your apps in the background. This is a 128 gigabyte iPhone 7. The previous one is a 64 gigabyte. So at most I'd have 64 gigabytes backed up. That can take some time to restore. But basically what it does is calculates the time, and you'll see it says about 25 minutes. What it will do is restore this part, reboot, and then install all of your apps. So we'll wait for this to complete, and we'll take a look at it in a little bit. The restore is finally completed, so we'll go ahead and hit continue. Now we're going to go through the setup, so we'll go to enable location services. You don't have to enable that, but if you want to use it with maps and things, it's just easier to turn it on now instead of later. It's going to update iCloud settings, and this will take a moment, and then we'll continue setting this up. So now we can set up Apple Pay. I decided to set up Apple Pay later, but now I'm going to use iCloud Keychain. Now if you don't have this, you don't have to worry about this, but if you do, it's easiest to do it from another device, and this basically saves passwords across different devices. Now we're going to set up Siri. Hey Siri. Hey Siri. Hey Siri. Hey Siri, how's it today? Hey Siri, it's me. We'll hit continue. Now you don't have to do any of this right now, and this is something new. It says meet the new home button. So it says get started. So we can change the pressure of this click or the way it feels. 1 is a little bit less, 2 is more, 3 feels best, I think. We'll hit get started. It's restoring everything, and this is going to take some time, but what's really nice is it keeps everything the same. So here's my iPhone 6S Plus. You'll see that the apps are all the same and laid out, although they're not fully installed yet. That's going to take some time. You'll see they're all laid out exactly how I left it. So the nice thing is it's going to restore all these apps. It's also going to restore all of their data from within those apps. So for example, if you're in Hangouts and you sign back in, and that's one thing you'll have to do is actually sign back into all of your apps as a security precaution. But for the most part, everything is there. There are a few exceptions. So if you go into an app, all the app data for games and whatever you're using should be there. But the one exception might be if it doesn't use iCloud for that backup. So for example, I use a money finance app called MoneyWiz, and they have their own sync service. So I'll have to sign back into that. Sometimes. Depends on which app it is and how it works. But most of the data, 99% of the time, is there. Now, as for your texts, it backs up all of those texts and restores them just like they were before, with the exception of anything you've texted since. So this may take an hour or two. If you're using your other phone and you text, it won't show up here. But for the most part, everything will be there. So let me give you an example. Here you'll see this is texting my wife, and it was read at 6:13. Now this isn't everything because I've texted her since we did the backup earlier, but most of this text and all of the images within there will be there. So that's a really nice feature of this and something I use all the time when I'm restoring different phones. Now if you delete something here, it will not delete on the other phone. If I text something on this phone, it will show up here now that they're both connected in that sense to iCloud. These phones don't interface with one another basically. If you delete something here, it won't delete it here and vice versa. It's just two mirrored images at this point. As for your music, that's where it gets a little bit more tricky. Your music is backed up sort of if you use Apple Music, iTunes, and you've purchased your music through iTunes, it will all be there available to download. So if I go in, here's all my different music. Now, if I bought it through iTunes, I can just go in there and stream it, or I can hit the download button. If I didn't buy it through iTunes and maybe I bought it through Amazon or some other place, I downloaded a CD into my computer or dumped it in there and then moved it over. If I did that, I'll have to plug my phone back into my computer, load iTunes, and restore it that way. Otherwise, you won't have that music on your device initially. I actually use iTunes Match, and that allows me to sync that music. So basically, it will show up even if I didn't buy it through iTunes. It's a whole nother thing, and I would definitely look into it if you're not using iTunes Music. Otherwise, that's it. Give it a few hours, it will restore. Your battery will probably not be great while it's doing this, so just leave it charging. I plugged it in here. Leave it charging, let it restore, and you'll be all set. If you have any other questions or comments, let me know in the comments below. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe and like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.